stadiums and stuff, I was at Hendon, you're getting abuse from like supporters and stuff. I'd never had that up until that point, because in academy football, you usually have like a family or friends. Find details like Maz, really like just aimed to take things to a next level. Innit? Yeah, Darius is one, like having seen that, like he was playing for a lower standard that I was playing for at the time, and then he went all the way to Chelsea, like a Premier League club, and went there and ripped it up. So when he messaged me that and I replied back to him, I actually couldn't sleep for the rest of the night. I was thinking like, this is mad. Like the Rise and Ballers came along.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and to the second interview on the channel. And today I'm very pleased to say we're joined by Melvin. So for a bit of background on Melvin, he's now signed at Chesterfield FC in the National League. He signed his first pro contract at Harrogate Town at 25 years old. Before that, he was playing for a well-known team called Rising Ballers on YouTube, who have nearly 80,000 subscribers now and nearly 600,000 followers on Instagram. So you weren't signed until you were in year 11 at Oxford United, and you grew up in Tottenham. Looking back on those years, would you change your journey in any way in terms of that period of your life, or is it crucial in gaining a love for the game at Sunday League level?
Primary school, secondary school, like coming through the grassroots sort of route, gave me a lot of perspective in life, and I wouldn't have changed my journey. And yeah, like it just made me, it kind of challenged me from a young age to really aspire to work harder than everyone around me and try and work my way up through the footballing ladder. So yeah, I wouldn't change the journey that I've been on.
Cool. And after getting that extended Schoolboys contract at Oxford, you unfortunately failed to earn a scholarship there. And I've heard you talk about how you had a bit of an ego at that age. Was that, in looking back on it, was that important in reducing that ego?
Yeah, because like obviously coming through grassroots and stuff, playing in goal, like primary school, secondary school, I kind of had like a lot of things given to me. Like I worked hard for a lot of things, and then I thought like that was it. Like this will be the same thing forever, and like, you know how life works. Like nothing really lasts forever. Things are always changing, innit? So from a young age, because I was kind of I had like expectations and aspirations, and I was kind of hitting them at certain points in my life through the early stages. Yeah, that gave me too much of an ego, and yeah, so like everybody's different, but for me, like at that point, I kind of got humbled, and I really had to like think about the setbacks and learn like how I was going to go again.
Cool. So after that, you joined Hazen Yedin, and might have got that wrong, but it's Yedin Yedin.
No, you're right.
And you were playing for the under-18s and reserves, and some good performances for them led you getting an England Schoolboys call-up. Well, just talk to me a little bit about that experience and what it was like.
So yeah, that was a crazy experience, because the manager at Hazen Yedin, our under-18s manager, was part of the staff within the England Schoolboys camp. So me and a few other boys that was playing for the Hazen Yedin team at that time was told that if we had performed, we would have been given an opportunity to be a part of that English Schoolboy setup. And yeah, I went there, and back then they were in like the National South, so that was like the 6th tier of football. I don't know what league they're in now. I think they're like 2 below that. I think they're in the 8th tier, but back then they were in the National South, and I done well for them, and had to go through the process of English Schoolboys. But when I had to go through that process, it was a long process of trialing with a lot of different players like around the country that are in the same bracket as me, and it was tough, but like thankfully I got there in the end through like performances and stuff, and that was an amazing experience, because we went to Italy and we had a tournament there for a week against a few other countries. So yeah, that was an amazing experience.
And then another high gained a third year scholar at Brentford. I know it was kind of a unique situation because you, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're playing in the under-21s where the majority of them were pro, and already had their pro contract. So what was that like playing in that team while still working towards it?
Yeah, it was a weird one because it was me and another player, and everyone else was a pro. So I was too old to play for the youth team because I was there around 19 years of age, and I had to. Obviously now it's called 23s, and they've scrapped and they've made a B team now. But now it's called 23s. It used to be called under 21. So I was playing for them, and I was there with a lot of my teammates. Though they signed their first professional deals for the club. So it was a weird one, but it was one that I had to try and use as leverage to try and like pursue like had like different steps, like getting a pro contract and trying to get into the first team and then trying to move on from there. So yeah, unfortunately it didn't happen, but it was an experience that I was kind of grateful for because I think that kind of opened up my eyes of now like like Oxford was a setback, but when I got released from Brentford, that kind of opened up my eyes of I know what's required to try and get to that next stage and sustain it. Because I think when I got to Oxford, worked hard, and then stopped working hard when I got there. And Hazen then worked extra hard. And then once I got to Brentford, I done the same thing that I did at Oxford United, and I thought that had been enough. And when it wasn't enough and I got released, then I was like, yeah, like damn, like I know what's required to kind of bounce back and sustain like what is needed to stay there. So yeah, it was a good experience.
Oh yeah, cheers for that. And on the back of that, as you say, realizing what it actually takes to make it, you joined non-league for the first time, playing at first team level at Hendon FC, at 20 years of age. And what was that like, just going from an academy to a sort of, I've seen you describe as a cutthroat experience, full of a change room of
Yeah,
men fighting for their livelihood, and yeah, what was that like?
yeah, that was my first sort of senior football, like having that responsibility. I was very young, having come out of academy football. And academy football wasn't based on results; it was more based on the development and like the technical side of the spectrum. So where there was no pressure, suddenly you're in men's football and you're playing in front of 50 to 100 like supporters. Like that was at that time, innit? And me at the start of my journey as a goalkeeper, trying to like improve my maturity in terms of my goalkeeping. Yeah, that was it was a big eye opener because at the time I wasn't playing when I signed for them, and then I got into the team, and then when I got into the team, played quite a bit, but we lost. I think we lost like 3 games, 1-0 in a row, and it was very unfortunate that I performed actually decent, but where the manager changed the team, the goalkeeper that I replaced, he'd come back and he made like 5 or 6 changes, and at that time, that's when I realized like wow, like this is not academy football, youth football anymore. Like this is men's football. Like
Yeah.
a lot of these guys have got mortgages to pay, they've got certain things to do. So if you're not up to scratch, they will tell you straight away. There's no like beating around the bush. So that was a kind of an eye opening that I kind of needed. And then also as well, another experience that I had was when I was playing in different stadiums and stuff. I was at Hendon, you're getting abuse from like supporters and stuff. I'd never had that up until that point because in academy football, you usually have like your family, your friends, the club representatives watching the games and stuff. So I'd never really been in front of a hostile crowd or anything and being given the abuse and having to block it out. So yeah, it was tough, like, but it was probably things that was needed to. It was like down to myself, like, do I really want to get to where I want to get to, or am I gonna crumble? And you need to stay strong. Like, you need to build your character and realize that if you wanna get to that sunshine or that paradise, like you have to go through the bottom stages, man. So
Yeah.
yeah, I had to. It was a good experience.
That's really interesting. Looking back on your sort of journey at that stage, I'll describe it as sort of an inverted pathway because unlike the media portrays, like a lot of footballers will sign their pro and then go on loan to lower league teams to get experience and then back up to that team. You actually went through non-league, got that experience from the start, and then at 25 you ended up signing a pro contract. So would you say that benefited you when you finally signed that pro at Chesterfield, that you at Harrogate, sorry, you were ready for it?
Yeah, because I think from the age of 20 to 25, I played 200 senior appearances in non-league, like at a lower level, but it was I still had the experience behind me. So yeah, like all of the sort of stages that I've gone through, it's been quite unique. Something that I didn't expect, but it's something I've just taken it in my stride, like every step of the way, I guess. And yeah, just every successful setback that I've kind of gone through, I've just embraced it on the way. Like it's been a roller coaster sort of experience, something that I didn't expect, but it's just something that I've kind of embraced. And yeah, got to Harrogate Town, and at 25, like the way I look at it, like, as a goalkeeper, there's a lot goalkeepers, their journeys, they kind of break into the game later, but they stay in the game later. So like I kind of saw it at 25. I wouldn't say I was young, but I was at a good age. And if I'm aspiring to play till like 40, I'm still at the beginning stages of that journey, if that makes sense, innit? So like having played like 200 senior games up until that stage, like it set me for that next challenge. And yeah, the aim is to like long terms get back into the EFL. Hopefully with Chesterfield, anyways, who have been there before, get back into the EFL and to be like have a career in the football league, I guess.
Is that something you'd say it's a bit more difficult as a keeper to get noticed and get opportunities than as an outfield player? Because even at Rising Ballers, you know, you'd see the skills of the attacking players, see the goals, but it'll be a bit harder to obviously notice you being consistent, pulling off saves.
Yeah, I feel like no, it's not even I feel like it's based on the generation we live in now. Forwards are more celebrated than like the defenders and the goalkeepers. So like end of the day, like goals win you games, goals keep managers in jobs, goals are what people pay their hard-earned money to go and watch their favorite football team or players at the stadium. So when you're at the opposite side of the spectrum and you're trying to keep the ball out of the net, you're going to be less celebrated. And if you're outfielder and you score goals, that will be highlighted more. So as me being as a goalkeeper, it's the path I chose from a young age, and I understood that from a young age. Like it'll be harder for me to stand out, but you kind of need to be on it all the time, because the one time you're not on it, that's when you get blamed. Like it's easy to blame the last line of defense or the goalkeeper for a goal being conceded. So like for me, I just kind of saw it as it's a hard challenge, but I need to be on it like 24/7, like most of the time. And if something goes wrong, I'll hold my hands and hold my hands and take full responsibility. But if I give it my best, like I always saw it as, if I give it my best, there's no more that I can do, and I could be proud of my efforts. And thankfully, like things have worked out much better than I expected. But I just feel like I've still got a long way to go, like personally.
Cool. Yeah, so in non-league, you played for Farnborough, Hanwell Town. You did well. You got supporters player of the season. And then a year later, you moved up a division to Harrow Borough, and that's when you really got into your stride. 15 clean sheets, player and supporters player of the season. How much of a confidence boost was that season 2, especially with a trial to Yeovil after that?
Yeah, that was literally a few months before I got involved in Rising Ballers. And what was that, 22 at the time, 22, 23? And yeah, it was hard, because I've got loads of friends that are in the game now and I'm not in the game. I'm talking about professional level. And there were a lot of my friends that they're outfielders, they're attackers. So seeing them get moves and stuff like very quickly, like I looked at myself and I thought, like, how am I gonna be able to try and work my way up through the ladder? Like, what do I need to do? So like started focusing on doing like more extra stuff around, because them sort of lower leagues are part-time. So like if you only stick to that part-time schedule, you're not going to be able to get out of that schedule because there's not enough. Like you have to do you have to do more than extras and at that level, innit? So that was pleasing, like, because it was a tough season. Like, it was a roller coaster season at Harrow Borough, but I performed like consistently through the season, and yeah, like that was my first. That was also my first. That was the same level as Hendon, but it was my first season where I played a full season at that level without being taken in and out of the team. If you get what I'm trying to say, like at Hendon, when I was taken in and out of the team, that was frustrating. But at Harrow Borough, I stayed in the team and played like 50 games plus. So that helped my experience. That helped my maturity levels, and at the same time, it was pleasing that I've been given an opportunity to stay in, and it helped me to really show people what I was capable of, because they gave me the platform, they gave me that trust, that confidence, and yeah, I just started to hit my stride.
Cool. And at 23, you joined Rising Ballers. Can you just give us a bit of background on how and why you joined?
So that came about where I'm guessing you if you've watched Rising Ballers from the beginning, you'll know Alfie Kane that used to be a part of them in the beginning. Yeah. Alfie Kane and Keys, his boy. So Alfie played with me at Harrow Borough, and he turned around and said that there was this platform called Rise. I was aware of Rising Ballers on like social media and stuff, but most of the time they were just posting all like the up and coming footballers that we see now, like the Jadon Sanchos, the Phil Fodens, etc. In it. So they didn't have a men's team; they were just an Instagram social media page. And Alfie just said to me that they were his boys. They were thinking of doing like a men's team and just helping push boys into professional football, like just somehow, some way, like just giving them exposure using the power of the platform that they had already built. So would I be interested? And initially I was like, I kind of like asked people about it. People were giving me, I was getting like mixed responses from people, innit? Doing my homework, thinking like looking on it on social media to see if there was any other platform like it, innit? And they were trying to make it similar to like a Nike Academy, but in a different, unique way, innit? So initially I was like, nah, I'm not interested. Like I thought the opportunity wasn't big enough for me to drop everything else that I was doing. And then there was one thing that I'll never forget that kind of swayed me. Like Alfie, obviously I was in close contact with Alfie, and Alfie was doing some stuff with Nike. I think he was going to like Oxford Street with like Rising Ballers and Nike, and they got like, this was like when the Phantoms came out, yeah? You know the Phantoms that they've got now? Yeah. He must have done a shoot with them. And then I looked on Instagram and I see like Nike commenting on his thing, and then they were bigging up Rising Ballers. I was like, wow, like, this looks mad. Like, this is something that he wants me to be a part of. And you would get like social exposure from it, as well as them pushing out your football. But I was like, wow, like, this is mad. Like, he's doing shoots with Nike. Nike are bigging him up and stuff. So like when I saw that, I was like, yeah, like I turned around and said to him, like, yeah, like I want to be a part of this. Like, what can I do? So and that time as well, like at that stage in my life, I was just thinking of just going all in on football, like giving it 2 or 3 years, and then if it didn't work out, just doing something like regular, like just like normal. But yeah, like thankfully they turned around and gave me the opportunity, and from then things just excelled, man.
And as you say, it started out as just like a highlights page for up and coming players, and it definitely wouldn't be what it is today without the team. That's what caught my attention. And you're basically one of the faces that you would associate with the team. I'd say Alfie, Keys, Maz at this stage, Gim, those kind of people. You're definitely one of them. How much did that exposure help you in the long run?
When I was at Harrow Borough, I'd done well, and that was the first time like people started to kind of pay attention and on social media. I started to building up my own platform and stuff, but I didn't really have a social presence. So when Rising Ballers came along, and a lot of people like I'm talking about the youth were more aware of Rising Ballers and what they were trying to do and what they were doing and stuff, like that kind of gave me a social presence. So like when I went into football clubs, they were very aware of my social presence as well as my footballing ability. So that helps me massively, like helped my profile massively, and something that was unexpected, but something that it changed the trajectory of my life at that time.
And I'm not going to ask you too much about. I'm not going to ask you about what happened to Alfie and Keys, because I know it's a bit of a touchy subject. But what I will ask is the transition between them two and the Gaffer Maz. What was it like when he first came to the changing room? Was there a bit of uncertainty, and what changed with him coming in?
Yeah, so I knew Maz from before. Like when we was together at Hendon, innit? Maz is a few years older than me, innit? So I kind of knew Maz before, but I didn't know him like that. But when he came in, it was quite interesting because I'd seen his journey from like when I left Hendon, went to Farnborough, and then when we met Horizon Ballers, I think that was like a 2 or 3 year gap. So like I'd seen his journey like from behind the scenes of his coaching journey, innit? But I didn't know how far into it he was into it because he was still kind of playing football on the side, like non-league. So yeah, when he came to Horizon Ballers, it was mad because he just made everything just more professional. Like he just like in terms of like timekeeping, when we was doing shoots, games, like preparation for the teams that were playing, like just smaller details, innit? The smaller fine details. Like Maz really like just aimed to take things to a next level, innit? So, and then also with training as well, like adding more days to the schedule and stuff. Like he sacrificed a lot to help us boys like really push on. So I'm always grateful to Keys and Alfie for the role that they played, and their situation with RB is entirely private, which is not my business. So it's not my business to talk about it, and I won't anyways. But yeah, for them initially having like where they started RB and stuff, I think they were kind of to a certain degree like trying to figure things out whilst they were on the job as well. Whereas Maz was already a full-time coach. So Maz didn't come in with the intention to play with us because I think Keys were playing with us, innit? But Maz's thing was different because he was like a full-time coach investing in his team and setting up his team how he wanted his team to play. Whereas Alfie and Keys, they were playing with us because they still had aspirations of getting back into the game. Like they've been at academies themselves. Like Keys was a pro as well. So that's the differences in both. Like both parties done well, but Maz's one was a bit more different because Maz like just sacrificed everything and pushed us like to a different level, and it kind of showed on the pitch like how we performed for him.
Thanks for that. And at that point, what was an average day for you in terms of football? Because there's that in my eyes iconic clip of you just jogging with one ball and just kicking it at like 6 a.m. just kicking the ball, jogging to get it, going back, kicking it. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Like literally, that time I was doing a school job that I stopped doing just before I got introduced into Rising Bullets. So I just pretty much just training every single day, twice a day, getting up early, training on my own, working on my distribution, and then going home napping, or going home using the gym, and then going to do a second session, whether that was finishing, goalkeeping training, so or training with RB and stuff. So yeah, that was pretty much a typical day for me, like 6-7 days a week, like just fully committed. I was obviously around my non-league schedule at that time and stuff, but like the team that I was playing for at the time and stuff, but I was just all in dedicated, man. Like I was kind of blessed that I had family around me supporting me and friends and stuff. So yeah, financially it was tough because I'd sacrificed everything to try and push on, but I guess it was worth it in the end because it's helped me up the footballing ladder at the moment. So yeah.
Seeing Tosh, Iderman, Darius getting signed at that time, how much did that motivate you to keep going with that?
Yeah, it was a big eye opener, especially whose one was the biggest eye of Darius's one, because Darius was we was kind of like all like pushing, motivating each other, yeah, like Darius was pretty much doing the same thing. All of us was doing the same thing, like waking up early, training and stuff. But like Darius was playing at a lower standard in non-league, like, and then he went to Chelsea and pretty much got signed. And if it wasn't for the transfer embargo, like he would still be there now, innit? But yeah, Darius is one, like, having seen that, like he was, that kind of opened up my eyes. Like there's different pathways to this thing that we call football, and you just got to do your thing, man. You got to be dedicated. Even if you don't play football, whatever you do in this walk of life, like whatever you do, just be dedicated towards it, and it will pay off eventually, man.
It's great. And that hard work started to pay off as you became one of the goalkeepers on Soccer AM. Can you tell me a little bit about that experience and how it came about?
Yeah, so how it came about. Yeah, so it came about, we had a in-house game at Rising Ballers, and I remember that day I wasn't really expecting anything to come from it, because Maz kind of briefed us and said that the clubs that were coming down, like the Premier League clubs that were coming down, were looking for more outfielders at the time, innit? Like no clubs needed a goalkeeper, and also the age bracket that they were looking for wasn't in my age. I think it was a bit more younger. I think they were looking for like youth team ages. So yeah, like that was just like I always treated every training session and every game like it was my last, basically, innit? So went there, just performed as normal. We played against each other. Like I think it was like a 9-a-side game against each other, or 10-a-side, I can't remember. We played against each other. My team won something mad, like 6-0 or 7-0 or something. But I played well, and it wasn't that I made like mad saves or anything. Like there was a lot of stages where I had nothing to do, and then when I was called upon, I would make a save, or I'll come and take a cross, or ball goes over the top, I'm clearing I'm sweeping up, if that makes sense, innit?
Yeah.
So yeah, contributions, I was very effective in it. And after that, like I didn't even know that a guy that I knew, he's an agent now, innit? And big him up, Aaron Morgan, that's his name. He's an agent now. I didn't know he was there at the time, because he messaged me after. He was like to me, he's been in contact with Sky. He's been told that at the end of the season, the goalkeeper that was on Sky is leaving. Like, do you want to go on and be involved in that? Like, they've got a shoot. I think that like they had the shoot like the next day after that showcase game. Like, do you want to be involved? And it's mad because, like, long story short, after that in-house game, went home, slept, everything, blah blah blah. And for some strange reason, sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night, I never check my phone, innit? Never check my phone. I wake up in the middle of the night, go use the toilet, come back to sleep. That day, like, everything happens for a reason. That day I checked my phone and I was thinking, like, damn, like, he's texted me. He's probably thought I just didn't reply to him. When he messaged me that and I replied back to him, I actually couldn't sleep for the rest of the night. I was thinking, like, this is mad. Like, I used to watch Soccer AM every Saturday morning, like, growing up and stuff. Like, so, like, for them to turn around and say that, and when he turned around and said to me, yeah, they'll have you on, went to do a shoot, and it was just crazy, man, crazy.
Who were some of the players that you filmed with?
So, first time I went there, it was Wayne Bridge that used to play for Chelsea, and Steve Sidwell, and like, when I went there, the standard, like, they're ex-professionals, isn't it? But the standard that they showed on that day was mad. So I was like, damn, like, if I want to be a part of this or be involved in this, I really need to step up my own levels, innit? So like, done decent there, and like they call me back for like another. This was like pre-recorded shoot, so we do the shoot and then we release it like a month later after they'd edited it. So after I came up against them, after that I came up against Akinfenwa, that plays for Wickham now, and who was the other one? Glenn Murray. He used to play for Brighton in the Premier League. I think he's at Nottingham Forest now in the Championship. But yeah, when I come up against them two, like, I done better than I did on the first time, and they're just a small group of players that I come up across when I was on the show. But yeah, like done very well, and they offered me the full-time role, like doing it every week on a Saturday morning, and it was mad because um it would that if I had taken that route, I wouldn't be able to play football anymore because they wanted me in like on a full-time basis. Like when they go to different clubs and they do, the drill stuff and all that stuff. So like I had to kind of sit down with my family, agent at the time, rising ballers, like ask like, what do I really want to do? How am I gonna really go about this? So
That's why I go to bed early, innit? If you didn't go to bed too early, that one day it wouldn't have happened.
100%, man. Like, don't know, because my body's used to it now. Like, it's just the same routine. But I just thought, in order for me to wake up earlier, and do you know what it is? Yeah, when I used to, because I'm a goalkeeper as well. Like, people always need goalkeepers in it to do like finishing, etc., etc. In it, like outfielders especially, and where a lot of my friends are outfielders. Yeah, I just thought to myself like, how can I work harder than everyone else? Yeah, work on the stuff that I'm a bit more weaker at. Yeah, at that time, but how can I do that more than everyone else? And then still train with everyone else at the same time, like because I thought to myself, if I just work on the things that I'm good at or naturally strong at, I ain't gonna improve because when you get to that next stage, like the things that you're weaker at, kind of it shows more. That makes sense, innit? It kind of gets exposed more in it. So if you work on everything, especially the things that you're not as strong at, when you get to that next stage, then there's a bit more of an equalizer for you. It helps you at that next level, innit? Wherever level you get to. So I just thought distribution was something I need to work on, stuff like my handling, my composure on stuff. So like I just thought I need to go to bed early so I can wake up early, train on my own, work on weaknesses first, have a nap, and then go and train with my friends so that if if my friends have trained once in a day and I've done double of what my friends have done or people around me like goalkeepers etc., I'm outworking you. Like I can at least be ahead of you. Like at some. That's how I kind of saw it. So yeah, I started picking like thinking to myself. I used to go to bed late all the time. I think to myself like I can't get up in the morning, innit? So if I go to bed a bit more earlier, just sacrifice that, sacrifice a few things, help me. And thankfully, it's worked out so far, man.
Really inspiring. And then the start of the 2020-21 season, you get calls from Yeovil, Boreham Wood, and then Harrogate Town. Yeah, what was your mindset going into Harrogate?
It was mad because long story short, the story in Harrogate is it was all COVID and stuff at that time, innit? So I must have travelled up to Harrogate, but before I travelled up to Harrogate, I had to do a COVID test in London. But them results, I don't know why it didn't come the next day. It took a few more days longer. So I had to go to the training ground at Harrogate, do a COVID test there. But the rules were you can't train with the club or with the players until your COVID test had come back negative. So I done the COVID test. It didn't come back the next day. So I had to go back to London. Was waiting for my results. It came back. Thankfully, it was negative. I came back up and then finally trained with the club. And yeah, it was crazy because I thought I kind of saw it as at that point I was thinking to myself like, oh, if this don't work out or if I don't go Brentford or Yeovil after this and it doesn't work out, I'm just gonna forget it. Like I'm just gonna go back on soccer because they were keen on me still pursuing it full time, even though they had like different goalkeepers on. I was still in contact with them regularly, so they were asking me like the shows back, what are you doing? Like, were you signed anywhere? Like, what's the update? So I just said to them, like, if it doesn't work out, if I don't get a pro contract, I'm just gonna stick with you guys like full time and stuff. And yeah, thankfully, like, got offered a deal, man, which was unexpected. But yeah, just crazy, man.
You say that deal was unexpected, but at first you got asked to sign provisionally for a month, and I remember seeing that on Rising Ballers. Like it was such a weird thing. It was such a weird announcement because I wasn't really sure whether you signed or whether you hadn't. So
Yeah,
yeah, what
and I
was
didn't
that
post
feeling
nothing
like?
either. Yeah, it was weird because I didn't post nothing personally. I kind of told people not to post anything personally, but there's only so much in your control that you can control. Like people are going to be happy for you, people are going to be buzzing for you, etc., etc. So like when the news came out, I was kind of like not even on social media, like looking at what people were saying and stuff. I kind of like kept myself to myself, like kept my head down. Like it was a weird one because I was expecting to be offered like a longer contract, and when it was more of a like, let's have a look at you for a month before we decide what we want to do. It was a weird one. It was like bittersweet, but thankfully it worked out in the end. Like the hard work paid off. Yeah, man.
Yeah, as you say, a bit sweet because must have given you a bit more encouragement and a bit more motivation because you know you got one foot in the door. But yeah, and then offered your first pro contract at 25 after all that hard work. Talk to me about that day, how it felt.
Yeah, it was mad. It was mad because like being offered it and stuff, like things just happened so quickly. Like I was 1 week I was with RB playing against SC Dons in the last game that I played for them. And then after that I was up north, going through another month of trying to earn a longer contract. So like just like it's been in my career, like roller coaster, a lot of successes, a lot of low points. Yeah, like it was it was more of a relief, like thankfully, like security, the next chapters has been confirmed. Now I just got to just focus on just sustaining it, man.
Last couple of questions. And then on the other end of the spectrum, after being on loan and spending the season there, you're released. What were your feelings like then after signing the pro and then being released a year later?
Yeah, that was disappointing because I didn't really get opportunity. I sat on the bench in the league for like half the season. Was promised opportunities, but you know how football goes. Like there's a lot of promises, but it doesn't always get given to you, innit? So yeah, it was a hard pill to swallow. I was proud of my efforts because I looked back on it and even discussing that with the manager, staff, goalkeeper, and coach. Like, was there any more I could have given? Like that's the conversations that I had frequently with like staff, manager, goalkeeper, and coach, Adrian, and stuff, and they were like, "Nah, it's just like in my position, it was just down to experience. Like the the other two that were there at the time, they had done it in the football league. I hadn't done it in the football league, and that was just the decision made. So yeah, it's tough, but I've had a lot of setbacks in life and my footballing career. So you just have to get on with it, like bounce back really. And yeah, it's disappointed. I wasn't disheartened. I was just more disappointed because it didn't work out how I thought it was. But thankfully, I've gone to another pro club in the National League, Chesterfield now, and they've given me opportunity, man.
Did Chesterfield come about relatively soon after getting released?
There was like initial discussions and stuff, but that the club was still deciding on what they were doing in terms of a playing squad. So there was initial discussions after Harrogate, but there was other clubs more interested than Chesterfield straight after Harrogate. But where I was kind of weighing up my options and Chesterfield were weighing up their options, something happened further down the line where it worked out for me to sign just before the season started.
Quality, mate. And last one, looking forward, what are your aims, both short term and long term?
So short term is it's been frustrating because our season just started. We've won 3 on the bounce in the National League, and yeah, Chesterfield have been in the Football League for many years, and I think they've been out of it for the last 3 years. So our aim is to try and get promotion as a squad this season, and it's been tough because in the National League there's only 5 subs, so the manager's decided he's not putting a goalkeeper on the bench at the moment, which is his own personal decision that I have to respect. And the aim for me is to get into the team first and contribute to helping the club getting back into the Football League and just establishing myself and building up my own reputation in the Football League as a goalkeeper. So that's short term wise, and then long term wise is seeing how far I can go. To be honest, like I've started from the like grass. I come through grassroots. I played at lower league and stuff in non-league and stuff. So it's just establishing myself as a goalkeeper on my journey and just showing like the youth like anything's possible, man. Just got to keep striving.
Proper fascinating. Thanks so much, Melvin, for coming on. It's really
Appreciate it,
interesting,
Dennis,
mate.
man.